May.
All right. Hello, and happy Friday out there to all of our Facebook friends and family, as well as our Next Level family. Hope you guys are having an awesome week and getting ready for a restful weekend. As always, we are here with the Lowdown. Today on Friday, we're going to talk mortgage news and things that are happening in our industry. Bear with me. We're working on our background back here, but we're here anyways, gang. We're here anyways, and we're ready to chat. Sean, kick us off our first topic. Oh,
and Kellen, we have some big news though.
We do have some big news. Before I forget, we are headed to an undisclosed secret location next week, where we will be putting the final touches on an amazing piece of content for our industry. Shane, give us a little, just enough, a sneak peek into what we have on tap for our mortgage friends.
You know, I think that when I was a fireman, the guys that I respected the most were the ones that were seasoned in their craft, right? They walk the talk, they walk the walk, and they talk the talk. And in our business as originators, there's a lot of imposters and posers, and there's a few people that walk the walk and talk the talk. And we're rolling out an incredible training network tribe of people that are the people who walk it and talk it, and they're advisors and they're experts. And there's no better time than to launch something like that than right now amongst so much uncertainty and with so much change in our industry. So I'm absolutely stoked about this.
So here's the deal. We are we're rolling out a certification. It's called Certified Mortgage Advisors. There will be much more detail coming in the next few weeks. But if you're interested and you want to be kind of the first to know, just make a comment on this post, whether you're in Facebook or commenting here
YouTube
with us live, YouTube. Drop a comment below. Give us your email address, and we will make sure to get you that information as soon as it's available. So let's go on. We'll move on to our first topic here for the Lowdown.
Are you going to tell me we partnered with, or they not get to know who we partnered with on it yet?
We'll save that for the big reveal.
Save that for the big reveal. Okay.
Sean, hit us with our first topic today.
So there was some pretty big breaking news just a few days ago in the industry. You guys hear about maybe we're all going to lose 50 bips on loans that we already have locked with our investors these days? Now, for you loan officers that are not running P&Ls, they may not matter too much for those of you running P&Ls. We still really don't know yet, because the guidance is as clear as a murky swamp on what's happening next.
What really struck me with this, Sean, and we can have any viewers that want to comment on this, and maybe it was Shane and I were talking about it yesterday, was a little unusual, I think, at least in my experience with Fannie and Freddie, to come out and they made the date the delivery date. So the day you deliver the loan to Fannie Freddie, not necessarily application date or even settlement date.
So can we talk about that? Because that's a really important thing for LOs who don't care about delivery dates, right? Like that's a huge impact. And like Kellen, I would love it if you just touch on what that means, that delivery date versus application versus lock date, because it's a retroactive penalty.
Correct. So, I think we all know what application date is. We all know what closing date is. But delivery date is the date that the file is actually delivered to Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac. Now, this could be weeks after the actual closing of the mortgage. It's a rather ambiguous date. It's not something that's necessarily set in stone. A lot of factors go into this. You may have post-closing conditions and other things. You may have an investor in the middle of that process. So it's a situation where you could have a lot of loans that are locked today that even if they're closing today, their delivery date could be after September 1st. That's a very, very highly likely. So what it means is that you have all these mortgage companies now that have now hedged their pipelines. They've locked their pipelines. They've protected that. And now there's going to be a 50 basis point cost associated with those loans that they deliver after. So ultimately, what does that mean? Well, ultimately means that the consumer is going to pay a higher rate and that the adjustment may be a little greater than 50 basis points because these lenders are going to have to make up for some of the penalty to their existing pipeline. So, wouldn't be surprising if you saw a 60 or even a 75 point basis point increase in your rates. So what does that translate to? I've seen a lot of different things. I've looked at our own lock desk. It's about an eighth if it's a true 50 basis point difference. As most of you guys know, that can move around a little bit, but an eighth is going to be pretty typical. So, it's impactful to the consumer for sure. And unfortunately, in an area of the economy that is so bright right now, right? I mean, people have equity in their homes. The rates are incredibly low. What an opportunity to help people make a lower payment and help them through this economic time. And now all of a sudden Fannie and Freddie want to get greedy and drop a 50 basis point tax essentially on all these loans. It's just
let's talk about that for just a second.
Let's not blame Fannie and Freddie.
A lot of people, hold on, Sean. A lot of people are wondering, well, why are they doing it? And Kellen, you and I were talking about this on the phone the other day. It's literally the biggest money grab that I've seen in the mortgage industry in all 17 years I've been in this business. And what do they want? Right? I think what they're saying is, well, we just want to be liquid so we don't have to depend on the government. Right? They didn't have a problem depending on the government in 2008, but here we are 50 years later. So
Barry Habib nailed it in his morning update. I think it was 2 mornings ago. And he said, Calabria is looking at this thing as, how they're going to privatize Fannie and Freddie, and what better way to pad up their balance sheet than to collect an extra 50 basis points across the line. So it's going to be interesting. We'll see if it sticks. I think it will, unfortunately. I haven't seen anything change or come out as of this moment. Of course, give it a couple of days, and that can always change. My hope at a minimum would be that maybe Fannie and Freddie would come out and change their date, say, okay, it's application date after X, and give companies the opportunity to prepare and properly manage their pipelines. Just seems like a really harsh penalty for a quick money grab, but that's
just so you direct your anger at who you should be mad at. So it's not as much Fannie and Freddie as it is Calabria.
Right.
He's the one who forced this down everyone's throat in an effort to capitalize them to hopefully privatize him again. So
he strikes again, right?
He strikes again. Yeah, he really screwed up some mortgage-backed securities when COVID happened, and now he's doing this as well too. And, one of the most interesting things about it is they're talking about risk, and we need to do this. Well, one of the jackass comments that he said as well too is because there's more margin, and that it's there that really isn't there, but that's a different story. But one of the things that they talked about in here is they talked about risk, and so we are refinancing people right now, mainly with 700 plus credit scores, with low debt to income ratios, with good jobs, who have not been affected by COVID, who like the exact borrower that you want right now is who is getting loans, and they're the least affected by. There's not the people in forbearance. There's no HARP program. There's none of that coming through right now to help people who are upside down in mortgages. And so you're penalizing people who have the greatest ability to repay of anybody else in the industry, of anybody else in the economy right now.
That's exactly right.
In the great words of Ken Travis's wife, y'all dumb.
Well, listen, let's continue this conversation. If you have any thoughts on the 50 basis point tax, drop it in the comments below. Hit us up on YouTube. We'd love to continue this conversation on our social media, but this is the lowdown and we keep it moving. So Sean, next topic.
So then the next topic is this housing crash that people keep talking about. And I think actually this 50 basis points and the quality of mortgage-backed securities that we have been originating basically since 2010 to explain as to why we're not going to have a housing crash. For those of us Shane, Kellen, you were not in the mortgage business, but Katie and I lived through that Great Recession. And man, before that, the quality of mortgages, the stuff I saw my friends doing in the subprime world, one of which is still in the business today. I mean, the mortgages were trash. They didn't make any sense. And it was all just based on one algorithm that said home prices were never going to drop. Well, they did. And so if you look at all the mortgages created since 2010 and the rules that have been in place, I mean, there's probably never in the history of time been a more solid chunk of mortgage-backed securities. You know, people are going to get laid off. There's going to be pandemics that are going to happen, and it will affect them, but not like it did before. And we all know how tight supply is in almost every market. There is, guys, I mean, you're going to see a pullback slightly in some markets. Shane, I know you've seen a little bit of up and down in Seattle, but there is no crash coming, people. Like, they don't know what they're talking about if they tell you there's a crash coming in the housing market.
Yeah, I'm reading on the Seattle Times, which is our large paper, and there was an article last week. Hot summer for Washington home shoppers, record-breaking prices, and a cutthroat market. And you know, the biggest misnomer, and this actually goes back to our announcement about CMA, really understanding why the wind shifts, right? Not just like not reacting, but understanding it. Inventory is so low in Washington state that right now, and MBS Highway has a really cool chart that shows you the amount of homes per individual, or the amount of individuals, home buyers per home. It's like there's 3 buyers for every home in Washington right now. And that's assuming that every home in Washington is a home that can actually be financed, which they aren't, right? So it's unbelievable right now. And I don't see it going anywhere like in the near future whatsoever.
Yeah. When we were talking about last week, KT, or we were talking about it on Lowdown last week. I mean, it's the most affordable time since 2016, even with prices rising because rates have dropped so much.
Oh yeah, we're starting to see a shift in our market, and we're in East Texas. Like, I'm in a rural community of people, and it's shifting. It's becoming a buyer's market in our area. Where Shane, it sounds like it's more of a seller's market in your area. So, you know, you also have to keep in mind that every market, it is different, you know, and you have to look at it differently.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's a great point. So I'm looking at our screen here. We've had a couple people asking about CMA, Certified Mortgage Advisor. We couldn't be more excited about this. Good time to probably mention, Sean, you teased it out earlier, but I'm going to go ahead and say it. We're going to let the cat out of the bag here. So talking about market reports and things happening in economics and analytics. So we have partnered with Barry Habib on this, and actually more than partnered. He's teaching, basically taking his 30 years of knowledge and putting it into this course. So you talk about coming away from, this course with just a head and shoulders level of knowledge above any other originator in your market. You're going to have a designation that not only other loan officers are going to respect, but the general public will be looking to find those individuals who they know have a great understanding of mortgage money, mortgage markets, and how it works. And I mean, this is the timing couldn't be better. I mean, we're in a position now where a lot of our loan officers they're refinancing, they're advising customers on what's the best step for them, whether it's a cash out or rate and term, and how all that works, and whether they should do it now, whether they should wait. All those questions and things are going to be answered for you in this class. So Barry's going to teach you, the loan officer. He's going to take 30 years of his knowledge, condense it down into one course. It's going to be an unbelievable deal. So more on that to come. I've probably said too much, but if you're interested, drop a note. We'll reach out to you and let you know. Anything else, guys? We're up against it. This is the Lowdown. We move quick.
Hey, don't forget to check out our podcast. We can also get you can get a playbook. How does somebody get their hands on a playbook right now, Kellen?
Well, you can text us and get some information there. Playbook at Playbook 2020, at 484848. Again, Playbook 2020 484848. You know, it's interesting on the playbook. We talk to a lot of loan officers. Organization is often the number one thing that they're lacking. If you feel like that's you, if you feel like you don't know how to manage your day, you kind of wake up and you start putting fires out from the moment you get to the office, text that number, get a copy of a playbook. I promise you, within a week, within a week, it'll change it'll change the way you operate. It'll change your daily structure, get you more organized, and as a result, you will close more deals. So as always, thank you guys. Thank you, Facebook, YouTube, Next Level, all the above. On behalf of myself, Sean, KT, and Shane, it's been the Lowdown. We'll see you next Friday, gang. Talk to you later.